Spider Zoids. So I'm pretty sure there are 4 species of Spider Zoids so far. Let's start with the oldest one. So the oldest Spider Zoid is called Garantula. He's from the early 1980s line of Zoids, essentially the first generation of Zoids. The fandom usually calls them whitehead Zoids. As you can see here, they all share the same white head, and they're all swappable. It's a pretty small line, but I haven't managed to snag Garantula yet. I do have Glidola the duck, but he's my only whitehead Zoid so far. Whitehead Zoids were kind of phased out in canon due to them just being old and not being able to keep up with more modern technology, especially when humans arrived on Planet Z, but Garantula in particular would go on to inspire the newer design of Guyzak the Scorpion Zoid. So I guess you could consider Guyzak like the spiritual successor of old Garantula. Garantula was also sold in the UK under the name Spider Zoid. Not a very creative name, but hey, I've heard worse. Garantula was also sold in the mid to late 80s under the name Tarantulan, this time sporting a red color scheme, and its white head has been swapped out with a red Imperial version to separate it from its earlier counterpart. The same red Imperial version was then sold under the Robostrux line, this time under the name Legs. Just Legs. I kind of like it, honestly. The Zoids 2 version of Garantula was called Tarantulan, this time sporting a much fancier silver and gold paint scheme with random chrome bits. A lot of Zoids 2 versions had random chrome bits for some reason. It's kind of cool though. And lastly, Garantula was re-released again during the 25th anniversary, this time sporting the name EX Garantula? This time it's a bit bigger, sporting new guns, a new paint scheme, new parts. I'm honestly wondering if we shouldn't consider this thing a different species of spider entirely, but yeah, I guess it's close enough. Oh, and last thing for Garantula, it does seem like it got another release under the MZ line called the Garantula New Type. It seemed to be the same mold as the first one, just a more patriotic paint scheme this time. Definitely odd, I don't think I've ever seen one of these. The next species of Spider Zoid is called Cannon Spider. Just look at him, he's kind of cute, you know, for a spider. He was part of the mid-2000s Z-Builders line, so he's a blocks type Zoid, and he was sold by Hasbro. I don't think Japan ever got a release for this one. But it does feature a pretty cool spring-loaded missile launcher, so, you know, projectile toys are always fun. I haven't managed to snag one of these for myself yet, but I will. Before we move on to the next species of Spider Zoid, I have to mention this guy, Shotwalker, from the 124 scale line of Zoids. And while this bad boy does have 8 legs, it's in fact not a Zoid at all. Evidently this thing doesn't have a Zoid core, it's not a Zoid, it's just a funny spider-shaped vehicle. But I'm sure a few older fans would have been sad if I didn't include him on the list. The next species of Spider Zoid comes from a very obscure line of Neoblocks called Custom Blocks. This creepy guy is called CB04 Harpers. I'm pretty sure these things didn't get any actual lore, but whew, is he a lot more creepy looking than Cannon Spider. As you can imagine, I haven't managed to snag one of these either, but I mean, if one comes up for sale, I might grab one, but whew, he's creepy. And the last species of Spider Zoid is called Spy-Death. Spy-Death is actually a wild Zoid, so if you're on Planet Z, you might actually see one of these things crawling around somewhere. And for scale, this is how big it is compared to a human. Anybody else getting flashbacks from 8-legged freaks? Spy-Death was also released by Hasbro during the short time that Hasbro was actually selling Zoids Wild Kits under the name Phobia. I'm pretty sure the molds are exactly the same in both releases, and both of them are purple, but I think one of them was slightly lighter than the other. I can't remember which was which exactly. Spy-Death was also part of the Zoids random kits, which I think was just like mystery bags of some smaller wild Zoids, in this case sporting a much more imperial paint scheme of silver and red. Looks very Xenobus Empire. But I think that about covers it. The 4 species of Spider Zoid: Garantula, Harpers, Cannon Spider, and Spy-Death.